When I told my daughter I had reserved the private dining room at Becta for her rehearsal dinner, she went quiet. Her husband leaned back in my armchair, crossed his ankle over his knee, and said, "About that, Hank. We got married 2 weeks ago in Niagara-on-the-Lake. Lovely ceremony. You should see the photos." The $50,000 I had given them for their dream wedding was already gone. 2 weeks later, they stood on my porch in the November cold, begging me to let them back in. I looked at them both and said, "You are not welcome here." Before we continue, please subscribe to the channel and write in the comments what time it is where you are now. The roast was almost done. I checked the thermometer one more time, watched the internal temperature hit exactly where I wanted it, then pulled the pan out and set it on the wire rack to rest. 2 place settings on the dining table that Carol and I had picked out at that estate sale in Merrickville 23 years ago. The good plates, the heavy silver she insisted we keep polished even though we only used it for Christmas and birthdays. My daughter Leanne and her fiancé Dustin were coming for dinner. Saturday would be the wedding at the Chateau Laurier, the historic ballroom with the arched windows overlooking the canal. I had transferred $50,000 to Leanne's account 8 weeks earlier. Venue, caterer, flowers, photographer, whatever made her happy. My only child. She deserved everything I could give her. Headlights swept across the front window. I was already wiping my hands on a dish towel when they came up the walkway. Leah looked beautiful in a burgundy wrap dress, her dark hair pinned up the way Carol used to wear hers, but something was off. She would not meet my eyes. Kept looking at the ground, at Dustin's shoulder, anywhere but at me. "Come in, come in." I held the door wide. "Roast is resting. Poured us some of that Niagara red you like." She let me hug her, but her arms barely moved. Dustin walked past both of us into the living room without a word. Expensive boots, cashmere coat he could not afford, that half smile I had never trusted. 34 years old and the longest job on his resume was 11 months at a marketing agency in Toronto before he got let go. But Leah loved him, so I kept my opinions where they belonged. "Smells great in here, Hank." Dustin dropped onto my couch and stretched his arms across the back cushions. "Roast beef, Yorkshire pudding. Your favorite, Leanne." She finally looked at me. Just a flash. What I saw made my chest go tight. "Dad, we need to tell you something. We got married." Dustin did not even sit up. He said it the way you would say you had picked up milk on the way home. 2 weeks ago. Niagara-on-the-Lake. Small venue, just us and an officiant. Very romantic, actually. The words hit me like a 2x4 across the ribs. My hand found the back of the dining chair. "What did you say?" "Saturday the 18th. Beautiful little ceremony at a vineyard estate. She wore this incredible dress." He pulled out his phone, scrolled, turned the screen toward me. "See? Stunning." I stared at it. My daughter in a white gown I had never seen, standing under a grape arbor with golden leaves, holding the hand of a man I had warned her about, while I was sitting in this house 40 minutes away believing the wedding was still a week out. "But I gave you $50,000. For the chateau. For Saturday." Leanne twisted the ring on her finger. New ring. Platinum band with a cluster of small diamonds. When had that happened? We made some adjustments to the budget. Dustin finally sat up, met my eyes with nothing behind his. No guilt, no apology, not even the basic decency of looking uncomfortable. Used part of the funds for a honeymoon in Portugal. Invested the rest. Building our future. You understand. Independent. The word tasted like rust. I am 62 years old. I have run McLeod Electrical Contracting for 37 years, commercial and industrial, 3 offices across Eastern Ontario. When you were pulling wire through conduit at 3 in the morning because a hospital needs its backup generator panel live by dawn, you learn to keep your hands steady and your voice level. Anger is a luxury you cannot afford around 480 volts. But my composure was cracking. You spent my money. Money I gave you for a wedding I was supposed to walk you down the aisle at. And you spent it on a vacation. Dad, we just wanted something intimate. Leanne's voice came out thin. Just us. Something meaningful without all the pressure. You understand, right? Pressure. I heard my voice drop. Quieter. Colder. I have been calling you every week about seating charts and menu tastings. You let me believe. Both of you let me believe. We were going to tell you tonight. Dustin shrugged. Actually shrugged. Like he had forgotten to return a library book. Figured we would have dinner, explain the situation. You were overreacting, Hank. The oven timer started beeping from the kitchen. None of us moved. Get out. Leanne blinked. Dad, get out of my house. I let go of the chair and stood straight. Looked directly at Dustin. His smirk vanished for half a second before he caught it. Both of you. Now. You were being unreasonable, Hank. Dustin's voice took on that patronizing edge, the one he used when you wanted to sound like the adult in the room. We will come back when you have calmed down. Give you time to process. I am processed. Leave. Leanne moved first, hurrying toward the door with her head down. She paused at the threshold, opened her mouth. I waited. She closed it and walked out. Dustin took his time. Checked his phone as he strolled past me. This is childish, Hank. We are family now. You will get over it. I said nothing. Held the door until he stepped through it. Watched them get into Dustin's leased Audi, watched the headlights flick on, watched them back out past the maple tree Carol planted when Leanne was born, and disappear down the street toward the Queensway. Then I closed the door. Locked the deadbolt. The click sounded enormous in the silence. The dining room still held two place settings. The wine I had opened sat breathing on the counter. In the kitchen, the timer kept beeping. I walked past all of it to my office at the back of the house, leaving the roast to go cold. The filing cabinet's bottom drawer stuck the way it always did. I gave it the familiar yank that freed it, pulled out the thick folder marked Leanne, Financial. My desk lamp made a tight circle of light. I had not turned on the ceiling fixture. Did not need to. The folder held everything. Every bank statement, every e-transfer confirmation, every canceled check going back 17 years. I spread them across the desk, turned on the computer, waited for the screen to warm up. University first. Carleton, 4 years. Tuition statements, residence fees, textbook receipts. $34,000 for tuition, another $12,000 for residence and meals each year. Study exchange to lie in her third year, $16,000 for that alone. Total came to just over $130,000. I opened a new spreadsheet and started entering numbers. After graduation came the interior design studio. Leanne had been electric on the phone, talking about sustainable spaces and heritage restoration and how Ottawa was booming with condo conversions. She had driven over with her laptop, shown me a business plan that looked professional. Projections, competitor analysis, a mood board of finished projects. She needed $80,000 for startup costs, a lease on a studio space in the Glebe, furniture samples, a website, first year's operating expenses. The business lasted 9 months. I found the e-transfer receipt. April 2021. $80,000 from my business account to hers. Found the apologetic text from January 2022. Dad, I'm closing the studio. Market is too saturated. Love you. Thank you for believing in me. I entered it in the spreadsheet. Column for date. Column for amount. Column for purpose. Then the SUV. She called on a Sunday morning 18 months ago. Her old Corolla had died on the 417, transmission gone, not worth fixing. Could I help with a down payment? Just enough to get into something safe for winter driving. I went to the dealership with her, watched her fall in love with a white Hyundai Tucson, co-signed when her credit was not strong enough on its own. $42,000 financed through Scotiabank. I had made every payment since. The numbers kept climbing. Rent assistance, $2,400 a month for 2 years. She had moved from a basement apartment in Centertown to a loft in Westboro after Dustin entered the picture. Said she needed a nicer space for client consultations, whatever that meant. I had paid her landlord directly. Automatic transfer on the first of each month. $130,000 plus $80,000 plus $42,000. I reached for the calculator. My coffee had gone cold. I drank it anyway. Tasted like nothing. That was $252,000 plus rent at $57,600. $309,600. Then the wedding fund, $50,000. E-transferred 8 weeks ago. Money that bought first-class tickets to Lisbon and 2 weeks at a resort I had never heard of. I logged into online banking. Pulled up the joint savings account I had set up 2 years ago after Leanne mentioned worrying about emergencies. What if something happens and I need cash fast, Dad? Could we have a shared account just for security? Made sense at the time. What father would say no? Current balance, $61,214. I clicked on transaction history. Started scrolling. June 15th, withdrawal $5,000, notation BD, investment. July 3rd, withdrawal $8,000, notation BD, consulting. July 22nd, withdrawal $6,500, notation BD, opportunity. BD Bryce Dustin. Dustin's initials were actually BD, his legal first name was Bryce, though nobody called him that. I had forgotten until this moment. My hand stopped on the mouse. Every withdrawal since April carried those initials. Some smaller, $1,500 here, $2,000 there. Others larger. The biggest, $12,000 on August 9th. I clicked back through 5 months. Started adding the withdrawals. $43,000. Funneled through Leanne's access into Dustin's pockets. Dad, Dustin has this amazing opportunity in crypto. Her voice played in my memory from that call in April. Could you move some funds into the account? Just until his project matures. 2 months, tops. 2 months had turned into 5 months of systematic drainage. I pulled more files. Every document told the same story. Every saved email. Dad, you always said you would support my dreams. Dad, I promise this time will be different. Dad, I will pay you back when things settle. My legal pad sat blank beside the keyboard. I picked up a pen. Started writing. Not emotions, not anger. Just facts. Education, $130,000. Business investment, $80,000. Vehicle, $42,000. Housing, $57,600. Wedding fund, $50,000. Joint account drained by Dustin, $43,000. Miscellaneous, medical, travel, gifts, $9,400. Grand total, $412,000. I sat back. Removed my glasses. Rubbed my eyes with the heels of my hands. Just once, I let myself feel the full weight of it. The betrayal. The calculation behind it. My daughter. My only child. The little girl I had raised alone after Carol lost her fight with ovarian cancer when Leanne was 19. I had hollowed myself out for her the way old knob and tube wiring eats through plaster walls, slowly, invisibly, until the structure cannot hold. Then I put my glasses back on. Picked up the pen. When a circuit is fried beyond salvage, you do not keep running power through it. You pull the breaker, strip the wire, start clean. New page on the legal pad. Header, action items. Close joint account. Monday morning. Remove Leanne from Scotiabank access. Monday. Cancel automatic rent payment. Monday. Revise will. Schedule with lawyer this week. Remove Leanne as beneficiary, life insurance, retirement accounts, business succession. Call Sandra phone. Estate planning. I opened a browser tab. Typed Estate Lawyers Ottawa, Ontario. Started clicking. Reviews, credentials, specializations. Another tab, Irrevocable Trust Requirements Canada. Another, Protecting Business Assets from Family Claims Ontario. The clock read 4:17 in the morning. I was not tired. My mind was running with a clarity I had not felt in years. Each thought snapping into place like a breaker switching on. My phone sat dark on the desk. No calls from Leanne. No apologetic texts. No, Dad, can we talk? She had made her choice. Chosen Dustin, chosen the money, chosen to let her father believe in a wedding that never happened while draining his accounts behind his back. I saved the spreadsheet as evidence.xlsx and created a new desktop folder. Time to treat this like any other contract dispute. Methodical, documented, no sentiment. Just execution. The untouched roast still sat on the counter. I could smell it from the office. Cold and dry. I would deal with it later. Right now, I had work to do. Monday morning, the Scotiabank branch on Laurier Avenue opened at 9:30. I was at the door at 9:28 in pressed trousers and a clean shirt, the leather folder under my arm. Good morning, Mr. McLeod. How can I help you today? I need to close a joint savings account. Transfer the full balance to a new individual account in my name only. Remove all secondary holders. The young woman behind the desk studied her screen. I see a joint account with Leanne McLeod Pratt. That is the account you would like to close? That is correct. Current balance is $61,214. I will need identity verification and some signatures. I signed every form without hesitation. Closure authorization, transfer request, new account application. Steady handwriting. She pulled up the list of automatic payments. Monthly rent transfer, $2,400. Auto insurance, $340. Credit card auto pay, $580. Cancel all of them. Effective immediately. All automatic payments? Every single one. More typing. Done. The new account will be fully active by this afternoon. First move complete. Sandra Fong's office was on Elgin Street in one of those converted limestone buildings near the courthouse. I had used her for commercial contracts for 14 years. Sharp, discreet, no wasted words. The receptionist recognized me and had me sitting across Sandra's desk within 15 minutes. I need to create an irrevocable trust. Everything I own goes to a charitable foundation when I die. My daughter receives nothing. Sandra set down her pen. That is a significant decision, Hank. Irrevocable means exactly what it sounds like. No changes, no reversals. Are you certain? Irrevocable. Locked down. No way to contest it. She studied my face for a long moment. Tell me what happened. I gave her the essentials. The wedding that was not. The $50,000 spent on a European holiday. The joint account systematically drained by Dustin. 17 years of financial support with nothing to show for it. Sandra made notes. In Ontario, you have broad testamentary freedom, but dependents can challenge under the Succession Law Reform Act if they can establish need. Adult children who are not dependents have a much harder road. With proper documentation of your reasons, we can make this extremely difficult to overturn. Then make it bulletproof. That is why I am hiring you. Your assets. Tell me. McLeod Electrical. 3 locations, Ottawa, Kingston, Cornwall. Valued at roughly $2.8 million. My house in Rockcliffe, market value about $1.9 million in this market. RRSP at $460,000. Life insurance, $250,000. All of it currently lists Leanne as beneficiary. We will handle beneficiary changes separately. Those are straightforward. She looked up. Have you thought about which charity? Something for trades education. Young people who want to become electricians, plumbers, welders, but cannot afford the training. I will leave the specifics to you. I know several foundations. I will draft the trust with a charitable purpose clause. Give me 3 to 4 weeks. Start today. I will. Back in my truck, I sat with the engine idling and the heat running against the November chill. Ottawa was gray and raw, the canal reflecting low clouds. My phone sat silent in the cup holder. No calls yet. The account changes would not hit Leanne's radar until she tried to use the card. I pulled out of the lot and drove to my main shop on St. Laurent Boulevard. Tuesday's job board was full: panel upgrade at a Canada warehouse, service call at a Barhaven strip mall, an emergency generator install for a retirement home in Orleans. Tommy, my lead foreman, had everything under control. He had been with me 22 years, longer than most marriages. Life continued. Work continued. The call came Tuesday afternoon. I was on a ladder in the Canada warehouse, tracing a fault in a 3-phase panel, when my phone started buzzing in my vest pocket. I let it ring. Finished the trace, marked the bad breaker with tape, climbed down. Checked the screen. 11 missed calls from Leanne. I called back. Dad, what is going on? Her voice was sharp. Not sorry. Not worried. Annoyed. I tried to use the card at Metro and it was declined. I called the bank and they said the account is closed. Is there some kind of mistake? No mistake, Leanne. Silence. Then, what do you mean no mistake? Dad, I need that account. Rent is due Friday. We do not have enough in our account to cover. You are 31 years old. Married. Time to be independent. Is that not what Dustin said? What are you, Dad? You cannot just. Give me the phone. Dustin's voice, distant, then close. Listen, Hank, you cannot cut off your daughter like this. We will sue you for financial abuse. My lawyer says we have grounds. You had a reasonable expectation of attending your own daughter's wedding. Life is full of disappointments. I ended the call. Set the phone face down on my toolbox. Went back to the panel. It buzzed 14 more times in the next 2 hours. I did not look at it. By evening, the voicemails had stacked up. Leanne's voice moving from angry to desperate. Dad, please just call me back. We can work this out. I am sorry, okay? Just please pick up. Dustin's voice, trying to sound legal. Hank, this is harassment. Cutting off your daughter without warning is actionable. My lawyer says we have grounds. Call me back so we can resolve this like adults. Neither of them had lawyers. I had run a business long enough to know the difference between a real legal threat and a bluff. I drove home as the sun set copper and pink over the Ottawa River. Made myself eggs and toast. Ate standing at the counter. Opened my laptop and started reviewing the documents Sandra had emailed. Trust framework, asset schedules, foundation options. The knock came just after 8. Loud, insistent. Dad. Dad, I know you are in there. Your truck is in the driveway. Please. I stayed in my office chair. Through the window I could see them on the porch, backlit by the light I had forgotten to turn off. Leanne and Dustin. He was pacing. She was pressing the doorbell. They stayed for an hour. I reviewed the entire trust draft, made notes for Sandra. Through the glass I watched Dustin talk into his phone, gesturing broadly. Leanne sat on the steps, head in her hands. Eventually they left. Car doors. Engine. Silence. A crumpled note under the doormat. Dustin's handwriting, all capitals, you are making a huge mistake. We will pursue legal action for elder abuse and emotional distress. Below it, Leanne's rounder script, Dad, please. I love you. This is not like you. Can we just talk? Please? I folded it, walked it to the blue bin in the garage, dropped it in. Wednesday I made a call I had been putting off. Directory assistants connected me to the vineyard venue in Niagara-on-the-Lake. Good afternoon, Ridgeview Estates. How may I help you? This is Hank McLeod. My daughter Leanne was married at your venue on October 18th. I funded the wedding and I am reconciling my records. Could you confirm the invoice total? Brief pause. Then, warmer, oh, Mr. McLeod. Lovely ceremony. Let me pull that up. Clicking. Total invoice was $8,900. Small ceremony, 12 guests, Vineyard Terrace package. $8,900. I provided $50,000. Do you know what happened to the remainder? We refund the difference directly to the couple. I believe we issued a check for $41,100 to Ms. McLeod Pratt. $41,100. Refunded to them. I thanked her, hung up, pulled up my credit card statements. Found the charges 3 days after the wedding. Four Seasons Toronto, premium suite. Business class flights to Lisbon, 2 passengers. Resort charges in the Algarve over 2 weeks. Total, $36,800. My wedding money. Spent on their honeymoon while I sat at home adjusting the seating chart for a ceremony that had already happened. Thursday, I met Raj Mehta at a coffee shop on Bank Street. Mid-40s, precise, the kind of thorough attention I recognized from good tradespeople. We both knew how to trace a problem to its source. Mr. McLeod, I will need all documentation from the business. Incorporation papers, bank statements, expense reports. He opened his laptop. I will trace every dollar and categorize legitimate costs versus personal spending. How long? 5 days for a comprehensive audit. I slid the folder across the table. Leanne's business plan, the startup account statements, incorporation documents from the Ontario Business Registry. Every piece of paper that proved I had believed in her dream. His report arrived the following Wednesday. I read it in my office with the door closed. Of the $80,000 I had invested, Raj could account for $6,800 in legitimate business expenses. Studio lease deposits, business cards, a basic website. The remainder, $73,200, had funded personal spending. Holt Renfrew, $4,200. Professional wardrobe. Fairmont Chateau Montebello, $3,100. Client retreat. The studio had no clients at that point. Equinox gym membership, $1,800 annually. Notation, wellness for productivity. A $2,200 charge at a jeweler on Sussex Drive with the note professional accessories. Dustin's name appeared on dozens of transactions. Hotels in Mont Tremblant and Prince Edward County. A $1,200 tab at Riviera Restaurant. Premium golf at Cabot Links in Nova Scotia, $3,800, listed as team building. $73,000. Not building a business. Funding a lifestyle. I printed the report. Put it in a folder on my desk next to the trust documents. That same week, the social campaign started. I noticed it first when Reg Campbell, a longtime supplier, made an odd comment at the shop. Everything all right, Hank? Heard you are having some family trouble. Nothing I cannot handle. But the look he gave me said something had shifted. By Friday, I understood why. Leanne had posted on Facebook. I had not logged in myself in over a year, but Tommy showed me on his phone during lunch. It is hard to write this, but I need to share my truth. My father has cut me off completely, financially, emotionally, because I got married. 31 years of being his daughter, and when I chose love, he chose money. Rent is due. Bills are piling up. He will not even answer my calls. I know parents do not owe their adult children anything legally. But I thought family meant more than that. I thought I meant more than that. 240 reactions. 53 comments. Sharing fast. I read a few comments. Parents who use money as control are toxic. My dad did the same thing. It is financial abuse. Stay strong, girl. No outright lies in the post. Just framing. Context removed. The secret wedding, the drained accounts, the $80,000 spent on luxury purchases while claiming to run a design studio, none of that was mentioned. Just a daughter abandoned by her father for choosing love. I set Tommy's phone down. Did not comment. Did not message her. Did not defend myself in a comment section where every word would become ammunition. Boss, that's not right, Tommy said quietly. People who know you know that's not right. I know. The following week, I found out Dustin had been working the networking circuit. Reg told me. So did my colleague Don Ashworth at an industry dinner. Dustin had attended 2 Ottawa business mixers, telling anyone who would listen that I had abandoned my daughter without warning. That she was struggling. That he was worried about her mental health. Controlling the narrative. Building sympathy. Making me the villain before I had even realized we were in a public relations fight. I called Sandra. We need to talk about going on offense. Come in tomorrow. Bring everything. In her conference room the next morning, I spread out 17 years of financial support. Bank statements, email correspondence, Raj's audit, the vineyard invoice showing the refund. Sandra studied it all with the focus of someone reading a wiring diagram. Hank, this is comprehensive. If they try to challenge the trust, this documentation makes their case nearly impossible. It is not the courts I am worried about right now. It is the court of public opinion. Dustin is out there painting me as a monster. Sandra nodded slowly. Legal battles and reputation battles are different. They can lose in court and still damage you in the community. I know. That is why I am not settling. The trust signing happened on a Tuesday morning. Sandra's office, 2 witnesses, a notary. The documents sat in 3 neat stacks. With these signatures, the Hank McLeod Irrevocable Trust is fully executed. Your assets are permanently designated for the Eastern Ontario Trades Education Foundation upon your passing. I used the fountain pen Carol gave me when I opened my first shop in 1988. Page 1, Establishment of Trust. Page 2, Asset Schedule. Page 3, Beneficiary Designation. Page 4, Irrevocability Clause. Each signature deliberate. Each one cutting another wire between Leanne and my life's work. The notary applied the seal. Heavy press, embossed stamp. Is there any way to challenge this? With the documentation you have provided, your testamentary capacity, and the irrevocability clause, no. Your daughter has no legal claim. That Friday evening was the Eastern Ontario Electrical Contractors Association annual dinner. I had been a platinum sponsor for 15 years. Held at the Westin on Colonelby Drive, overlooking the canal. 230 guests, contractors, engineers, suppliers, municipal officials. I arrived at 6:15. Gray suit, Carol's cufflinks, the ones with the tiny lightning bolts she had custom made as a joke for our 20th anniversary. I knew most faces in the room. Around 7:30, during the main course, I saw them enter. Dustin in a suit that probably cost more than he had earned in the last quarter. Leanne in a black dress, scanning the ballroom. They spotted me, exchanged a look, took seats at a back table. Last-minute tickets. Far from the stage. They waited through salad, through dinner. I felt their attention like voltage on the back of my neck but did not turn around. Dessert arrived. Maple creme brulee. The MC, a retired city councillor, finished announcing the award nominees and stepped away from the podium. Dustin moved. He walked to the stage, took the microphone, tapped it twice. Feedback whine. The room went quiet. I apologize for the interruption, but I need to address something important. I set my fork down. Wiped my hands with my napkin. Waited. Many of you know Hank McLeod as a successful contractor, a pillar of this community. Dustin's voice dripped with rehearsed humility. I know him as my father-in-law. His daughter, my wife Leanne, is heartbroken. There has been a misunderstanding, a family disagreement that spiraled. I am asking publicly, humbly, for healing. Hank, whatever happened, can we just talk? Can we find forgiveness? He extended his hand toward my table. Every eye in the room turned to me. The trap. Refuse and I am the heartless father. Accept and I validate the story they had been selling for weeks. I stood slowly, buttoned my jacket, walked between the tables toward the stage. The room held its breath. Dustin handed me the microphone. He had no choice. Pulling it back would have shown his hand. I looked out at 230 faces. Business partners, colleagues, friends, people who had seen Leanne's Facebook post, heard Dustin's whisper campaign, wondered about the truth. Thank you for the unexpected chance to address this. My voice was level. Calm. The voice I used on job sites when something had gone wrong and everyone needed to focus. Dustin mentioned family. Let me tell you about family. Behind me, the presentation screen flickered to life. Sandra had coordinated with the hotel's AV team that afternoon. A timeline appeared. 17 years of financial support, mapped out in dates and dollar amounts. I paid $130,000 for my daughter's university education. I invested $80,000 in a business startup that, according to a forensic audit, spent less than $7,000 on actual business expenses. I bought her a $42,000 vehicle and made every payment. I paid her rent, $2,400 a month for 2 years. I gave her $50,000 for a wedding I was never told had already happened. The screen showed e-transfer confirmations. Bank statements. Each one highlighted and dated. If you were doing the math, that is over $400,000. Not loans. Gifts. Because she is my daughter and I loved her. Past tense. Deliberate. The room was silent. 3 weeks ago, I learned that the wedding I had funded took place in secret 2 weeks before I was told. The $50,000 I provided paid for a European honeymoon instead. I also learned that my joint savings account had been drained of $43,000 over 5 months, withdrawals made by my son-in-law under investment notations that led nowhere. Raj's audit summary appeared on screen. Categories, amounts, luxury spending disguised as business expenses. Hotels, restaurants, golf packages, designer clothes. This week, I signed an irrevocable trust. My entire estate, 3 electrical contracting businesses, my home, all my savings, will fund trades education scholarships for young people in Eastern Ontario. Aspiring electricians, plumbers, welders, carpenters. Young people who want to learn a trade, work with their hands, and build something real. I paused. Let that settle. Not a dollar goes to my daughter. Dustin's face had gone white. Leanne, at the back table, had covered her face with both hands. Dustin asked about forgiveness tonight. Here is what I believe. Family is built on respect, not just blood. Respect requires honesty. My daughter and her husband offered me neither. So I built a new legacy. One that will help people who value hard work and integrity. I set the microphone back on its stand. Thank you for listening. Now let us get back to the reason we are all here tonight. The applause started from somewhere on my left. Then it moved through the room like a wave. Within seconds, people were standing. Not polite clapping. Not awkward acknowledgement. Real, sustained applause. I walked back to my table. Did not look at Dustin, still frozen at the side of the stage. Did not watch as he and Leanne gathered themselves and moved toward the exit. I heard the door close behind them. Don Ashworth leaned over from the next chair. Hank, I had no idea. After seeing that Facebook post, I was not sure what to think. There are always 2 sides, I said. I just wanted people to see mine. My phone vibrated in my pocket. I did not reach for it. There was one more thing I needed to do. 2 weeks later, I called Tommy into my office at the Saint Laurent shop. He sat across from me, still in his work boots, sawdust on his sleeves. Tommy, you have been with me 22 years. You know every circuit in every building we have ever wired. Something wrong, boss? No. Something right. I slid a folder across the desk. I am restructuring the business. I want to offer you a 49% ownership stake in the Ottawa location. Sweat equity, no cash outlay, vested over 5 years. You run it the way we have always run it. Fair wages, clean work, no shortcuts. Tommy stared at the folder. Then at me. His eyes were red. Hank, I do not know what to say. Say you will keep the lights on. He shook my hand across the desk. Firm grip, calloused palms. The handshake of a man who had earned everything he had. The following Saturday, they came. I was in the backyard replacing a rotted fence post, November cold, ground half frozen, the kind of work that makes your fingers ache but keeps your mind clear, when I heard the car in the driveway. Leanne and Dustin. The Audi was dirty. Dustin's suit was wrinkled. Leanne's eyes were swollen. They came around to the backyard gate. Dad. Her voice was raw. We just need 5 minutes. Please. I set down the post-hole digger. Wiped my hands. Walked to the gate but did not open it. They stood on the other side, the cedar fence between us. Leanne was shaking. From the cold or from something else. Dad, I am so sorry. I should have told you about the wedding. I should have stopped the account withdrawals. I was confused. Dustin made everything seem reasonable at the time, but I see it now. I was wrong. Dustin stepped forward. The arrogance was gone. What replaced it was something I had never seen on his face before, real fear. Hank, I take full responsibility. This was my fault. I influenced Leanne. I made terrible decisions. But I will make it right. I will get a real job. We will pay you back. Every dollar. The wedding money, the startup, everything. Set up a payment plan. Whatever you want. Leanne reached through the gate slats. Dad, please. I am still your daughter. That has to count for something. I let them talk. Maybe 30 seconds. Their voices grew more frantic as my silence continued. Leanne's mascara streaked her cheeks. Dustin's hands were shaking. Then I raised one hand. They stopped. Immediate silence. You chose your path without me. My voice was quiet. Final. Now walk it. Dad, no. You cannot leave my property. Hank, please. Dustin's voice cracked. We are about to lose the apartment. We have nowhere. The irony seemed lost on him. They had already lost the most valuable thing, and it was not the apartment. I said nothing more. Just looked at them. Really looked at them. My daughter, Carol's daughter, standing in the November cold, reduced to begging at a fence gate. And the man who had led her here, whose plan had worked perfectly right up until the moment it collapsed. Then I turned around and walked to the back door. Let myself in. Closed it. Turned the lock. Through the kitchen window, I watched. Leanne pressed her forehead against the gate for a long moment. Dustin stood behind her, hands in his pockets, staring at the ground. Eventually he touched her shoulder. She straightened. They walked to the car. They sat in the driveway for several minutes. Just sitting. Finally the engine started. They backed out, turned onto the street, and were gone. My phone rang. Sandra's name on the screen. It is done, I said. They came. They left. Are you all right? I stood in my kitchen, looking at the empty driveway through the window. The maple tree Carol planted was bare now, its branches dark against the gray sky. For the first time in a month, since that dinner I had prepared for 3, something settled in my chest. I am. For the first time in a month, I actually am. After we hung up, I stood at the window a moment longer. Not celebrating. Not mourning. Just acknowledging that it was finished. Sunday morning arrived quietly. I woke without an alarm. Made coffee, stood at the kitchen window watching November light spread across the backyard. The tension that had lived in my shoulders for weeks was gone. Not replaced by anything. Just gone. I showered, dressed in jeans and a flannel shirt. Drove to the shop. Not because I needed to. Because I wanted to. The St. Laurent location was empty on Sundays, but I liked being there. The smell of solder and cable insulation, the rows of labeled parts bins, the whiteboard with next week's job schedule in Tommy's careful handwriting. I sat in my office, drank my coffee, looked at the diplomas and certificates on the wall. Master Electrician, Province of Ontario, 1991. Carol's photo beside it, the one from our trip to Algonquin, her laughing at something I had said, sunlight catching her hair. My neighbor Rick had mentioned his grandson was finishing high school next spring. Thinking about a trade. I made a note to call him. The foundation's first scholarships would be awarded next fall. Young people learning to pull wire, bend conduit, read schematics. Build something real with their hands. Around 5, I went home. Made chicken and roasted vegetables. Simple. Ate on the back deck despite the cold, bundled in a jacket, watching the last light fade over the Ottawa River in the distance. My phone sat on the table beside my tea. Dark. Silent. I had turned it off after Sandra's call and not turned it back on. 37 years I had been building my business. 31 years I had been Leanne's father. One of those things would keep mattering. The other had run its course. Maybe I would travel. Never been to Newfoundland despite living in Canada my whole life. Maybe I would expand the business, there was interest in a 4th location in Brockville. Maybe I would even date again someday. The future was open in a way it had not been for decades. Not because something good had happened. Because something necessary had finished. The sky deepened from gray to charcoal to black. The river disappeared into the dark. No anger. No regret. No satisfaction. Just stillness. I had raised my daughter the best I could, given her everything I thought she needed. She had chosen differently, made her decisions without me, then expected me to fund the consequences. That was not on me. The phone stayed dark on the table. I made no move to turn it back on. Did not need to. Everything that needed saying had been said. Everything that needed doing had been done. A train horn sounded somewhere across the river, muffled by distance and cold air. The ancient rhythm of freight moving through the valley, indifferent to the small human dramas playing out in the scattered houses along its path. I gathered my plate and mug, carried them inside, locked the back door, rinsed the dishes in the sink. Normal Sunday evening. Tomorrow I would go back to the shop, pull wire, manage crews, run my business. The same life I had lived for 37 years, minus the weight of obligation to someone who had never valued it. I left the phone on the counter. Dark and silent. Walked to my bedroom. Got ready for sleep. When I turned off the lights, the house settled into comfortable darkness. No tension waiting in the corners. No dread about tomorrow's calls. No wondering what new manipulation might arrive. Just a house. Just a man. Just another night. And in the morning, the rest of my life would continue. If you enjoyed this story, please like this video, subscribe to the channel, and share your thoughts in the comments. To hear the next story, click the link on the screen. Thank you for listening.